This lesson is going to talk about improvement within your organization again. We're going to focus today again on the organization and on your company. How can we really improve your company? So the methodology I want to teach you today is called Lean. And you may have heard of lean thinking or lean production. Essentially, it's been created from Toyota Production System. Toyota founders and the people who led Toyota for many years have developed this methodology and this thinking approach that's now studied worldwide. I've applied this technology or this methodology in many businesses, in service businesses, which is not the typical place to see it. So I have a different perspective on it than most people. But let's walk through it. What does lean actually mean? When you're applying lean, what you're trying to do is make all resources expended in a way that creates value for the customer. If it doesn't create value for the customer, you shouldn't do it. If you look at Toyota and study Toyota, there's a lot of books out there. I encourage you to pick some up and read them, or at least some articles. Toyota grew from a very small manufacturer of automobiles, and today they are the largest manufacturer. In fact, if you study them, you'll see that everything they do has very specific goals and purposes. And they're probably one of the best companies if you want to look at a vision board, or if you want to look at how they manage in alignment with what I'm teaching. This is where I've learned a lot of it. Now, one of the things I want to share with you, the point of lean is that you eliminate all the waste that is a bottleneck or a constraint in the flow of moving raw materials through production to your customer. Or in a service environment, how do I turn what it is I want to create and the service I want to provide to my customer? Even from an emotional perspective, what is it I want my customers to feel? That's most important. Whether you product or service is what you're delivering, feelings of the customers drive loyalty. So the 7 forms of waste that we're going to talk about briefly. Transportation. How often do you transport something far beyond where it needs to go? How often does something move from one side of the room to the other side? How far do you have to walk to get to your printer? Back and forth every day, 20, 30, 50 times a day. How much transportation of paperwork is there that doesn't need to happen? Inventory, another great example. How much inventory do you have in a warehouse? Or if you're running a hotel company or a hospitality company, let's say you're running a restaurant, how many tables do you have that you're not filling up? So think about it that way. What are you stocking and not using? What are you not turning over on a daily basis? And how can you reduce that? Because that is constraining your flow. Motion. What are the extra steps that you're taking or the actual motions you're making in the process of delivering your product or service or of creating your product or service? Motion is another huge waste factor. And if you can eliminate several steps of a process, you'll be much more efficient. My favorite type of waste to eliminate, waiting. How often do you wait in lines? The doctor's office, the customer service line, on the phone. Waiting is a huge waste for your customer. They wouldn't pay for it. Why do you make them wait? Overproduction. Overproduction is a classic problem that we see in most companies. We overproduce because we want to be able to supply the demand. Well, you have to flip your company a little bit and create the demand before you create the supply. Overprocessing. It's not uncommon, especially in a technology or an information business, to overprocess. You take too many steps. So let's say you're an analyst, as an example, and you're going through all this information. If you overprocess, it means you're analyzing the data far too deep for the answer that you're looking for. You really need to have the value you're providing align with the product or service you're producing. Bring those two things together and only provide the value that the customers really want for the price they're going to pay. The last point I want to make is that all of these are forms of oversupply or supply without demand. The point of lean is to create the demand first and then respond to that demand immediately with the supply. It doesn't mean having warehouses full of supply. It means create the supply just in time. Thank you.